Broadcasting live worldwide.
Good morning, everyone. This is Angel from Have Faith, Let It Begin. Since it's Thursday, I thought it'd be kind of cool to do a Throwback Thursday. You see, I want to share with you a story about a trip I took back 16 years ago. It was when I was boarding a plane to Kentucky. And I sat next to a passenger that I didn't realize was actually a gift from God. This episode is called The Passenger That God Put Next to Me. Have Faith, Let It Begin starts right now.
On June 16, 2018, a show designed for you, The Daily Commuter, went live. A weekly show all about faith. A show with motivational topics, inspirational stories, and personal testimony set out to change the world.
Hello, my name is Amari, and today we are back on another episode of Have Faith and Let's Begin. Hi, my name is Isabella, and you're listening to Have Faith, Let It Begin.
Hi, I am Mia, and you are listening to Have Faith, Let It Begin.
Welcome to Have Faith. Let it begin. Here's your host, Angel Santana.
Can you say have faith, let it begin? Huh? Yeah. Yeah? Right. Daddy loves you. Daddy loves you. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Have Faith, Let It Begin. Folks, this Thursday episode is going to be a doozy, so strap on your seatbelts, make sure your tray tables are in upright positions, and get ready to fly, have faith. About 16 years ago, I was flying back, actually, from Louisville, Kentucky. I misspoke earlier. It was flying back from Louisville, Kentucky after spending a couple of months there because I had been transferred there temporarily with my job. Over the course of the 3 months that I was there, I met new friends. I experienced many different aspects of life and got a feeling for what it was like to be on my own completely, and I learned how to be a better manager, a better person. But there was something still missing when I was flying back home to Providence. As I boarded the first of 2 flights, I was deep down inside upset. I was worried. I was worried because I felt like I made a difference in Kentucky. I felt that I finally found myself, but I was going back home to Providence and feeling as if I was not going to bring that person, that new person that I found back home. As I was sitting in my seat, a passenger arrived, and it was a young girl. When I say young, she was about maybe 1 or 2 years younger than me. Now, obviously, when I say younger, I'm not saying she was a child, but she was younger than me. She got in the passenger seat, and she sat down next to me, and I was excited because 2 things. I'm not going to lie. 1, because she was beautiful, but 2, she took the window seat, and as you know, I'm scared of heights, and I hate to fly. So we got into the flight. We didn't take off because we were delayed, so we were sitting in the seats before we could take off. And immediately, she asked me what my name was. And I said, my name is Angel. She said her name is Mackenzie. Mackenzie and I talked for a good 20 minutes, back and forth about, who we were traveling and what we were doing and where our next destinations were. What was really interesting was we got into a very deep discussion about relationships. And we were delayed again. We were told that we were not going to take off anytime soon. So this delay of the flight took about 30 minutes before we took off. And as we were discussing what we were doing and what our next destinations were, and our next flights where we're going to pick up, the conversation turned into relationships. And I was still battling the depression, as many of you know, that I was going through. But I was trying to be a macho man, I was trying to play it off like I didn't care, but I did bring it up. And after about good deep conversation back and forth, and I know I'm kind of like being kind of vague, but I'm trying to get to it. I'm sorry. Mackenzie looked at me and said, for someone who sounds like they've got it all, you still seem like you're hurting. What is actually going on past the facade that you're laying on me? Because the guy that you're portraying is not the guy that I see with his eyes. And I said, wow, how did you know that? She says, because when you speak about your ex, your eyes become very sad. She says, what exactly do you need to do to move on? There's nothing really I can say other than you seem like a very nice man. You seem like a guy who's ready to take the next step. But you're allowing this person to bring you down. She says, I've only known you for about a half an hour. And in the half an hour that I've known you, I can see that you are in a lot of pain. Can you do me a favor? Can you let it go? She obviously has. And you're still holding on to something that is not there for you. Now, I'm not going to lie to you. I've heard this before from family, from friends. But it was in that moment that this stranger looked past my eyes, looked through me, and was able to puncture the pain that was inside of me. As we started to back away from the gate, I had to change gears and go into my crisis mode because I hated to fly. She could tell that I was getting nervous. Mackenzie put her hands on my hand and said, it'll be okay. We'll do this together. As we took off, and I grabbed onto the seats like I normally do, or the handles on the seats, she asked me to open my eyes and to look into hers. She told me that everything was going to be okay. She looked down and noticed that I was wearing my cross. And she said to me, if you wear the cross, then you know he's with you. If he is with you, then everything is going to be okay. I was able to release the grips from the handles on the seat and forgot that we were in the air. We spoke for the last hour and a half as we traveled in the air. And as we were getting ready to touch down, I started to tear up because I felt as if I found somebody that I could talk to forever. I remember asking her for her email because I said, I know that it would be wrong of me to ask you for your phone number, but I was wondering if maybe I could have your email and we can exchange emails. She says, it's funny you say that because while you were taking a trip to the restroom, I thought the same thing. And she reached over and handed me a paper. She told me not to read it until I got into my next flight. She then gave me a kiss on the cheek and said, Angel, if only we were going to the same destination, I would totally call you. At that moment, we got up. We left the plane. She gave me a nice warm hug. And she went on. And I never saw her again. As I boarded the second plane, and we were ready to take off, I opened up the letter with a small note. And it had her email address. And it says, as you take your second flight, think about how important it is to soar into the heavens, into the skies. Know that our paths were not an accident, only the beginning of what your life is all about. As you touch down in Providence, never forget that God is with you. And I thank God for bringing you into my life. About 10 years later, I received an email. It was from Mackenzie. sharing with me a picture of her new family, her children, and asking me if I was okay. We lost touch after that, until most recently, I've got an email from a name I could not recognize. You see, Mackenzie had emailed me. She emailed me from a new position, a new job, and saying to me, "You'd never believe what I just discovered. You probably don't remember me, but as I was going through my jobs and doing all that I could, somebody referred me to a podcast named Have Faith, Let It Begin. When I turned on the podcast and listened to the voice that I remember hearing over 16 years ago, it truly, truly made me feel so cool. I said, that's the angel that I met in the skies. And look, he has a show. And I never thought I'd say this, but I now can hear his voice each and every day. Thank you, Mackenzie. Folks, we never know who we're going to encounter. We never know what paths we're going to go through or encounter, or what type of people we're going to encounter along our ways. But sometimes, when we do reach that platform, when we reach that, not even the word platform, I misspoke there. When you reach a part of your life that you realize was not an accident, when you realize that when you are at your lowest of lows and something or someone comes into your life, even for a brief second, they can help change you, they can help put you back on the tracks, so to speak. You know that's the hand of God. And you know God is watching you every single second. Think about that today on this Throwback Thursday. I hope you enjoyed today's episode. And I hope that each and every one of you have the same experiences that I have. Maybe you already have. You just don't know it yet. Maybe this is your moment. Maybe this is the story that will allow you to move forward. And if it is, praise be to God. Have faith. Let it begin. I dedicate this episode to the passenger in the sky, Mackenzie. Thank you for listening to another episode of Have Faith, Let It Begin. That's right, Ariel. We're done with another show. And it's always great to have this show with you, my love. You know, we're going to encourage each and every person to listen to our show every single weekday. That's right, you and I are going to help change the world. Do you think that you can do that for me? Huh? Yeah, you know you can. She does. We want to let you know, and yes, we encourage you to listen to our show each and every weekday, and it's going to be live at 7:30. Make sure you're subscribed to our show. Make sure you get ready, fasten those seatbelts, because Ariel and I and my family are going to bring you a new topic, a new story each and every day, right? Isn't that right, Ariel? Yeah. And she's smiling at me. Guys, enjoy your day.